Introduction to the Creation of the Chinese Heavenly Court. www.zhaohuiwan.com. In the past life, spiritual energy is revived and the gods descend. In the decisive battle with the king of the gods, Zeus, Zhang Bairen had no choice but to self-destruct and perish together with Zeus. He, who thought he was about to die, obtained the heavenly court's divine list, the whip of the gods, and the life and death book of the underworld before his spiritual energy was revived. Zhang Bairen holds the list of deities, ennobles immortals, and re-establishes the heavenly court. 5 years https://www.zhaohuiwan.com. Chapter 1. Rebirth before Spiritual Qi Resurrection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, monkey, I have to admit that you, the Eastern monkey, are indeed more powerful than I expected, but that's all for now. Monkey, after all, is just a monkey. A man with blue curly hair and a distinct Western face stood in the air, holding a myriad of thunderbolts in his hand. He is the lord of the gods of the ancient Dharma, less. And across from him, the one standing is not a monkey, nor is it the great sage of Qi Tian from the east, but rather a mortal from the east. His name is Zhang Bairen. He is the god of war of Blue Star and the god of the military forces of Blue Star. The pillar in the hearts of the people of Blue Star. On a day 3 years ago. The world is changing. The Blue Star instantly grew countless times larger. At the same time, scenes similar to the revival of spiritual energy in novels have also begun to appear. Originally, various parts of the world were rapidly advancing due to the scene of spiritual revival. Until a year ago. The gods have descended. The Garden of Eden in the western continent, Mount Olympus. The Asgard in the north, the wizard god system in the southern continent, and the Fama god system in the eastern continent. There are also various indigenous divine kings who are not part of the divine system. Gods have descended into this world, promoting magic and fighting spirit, turning people into lambs of God. It's strange that there are many myths prevalent, and the immortal court suppresses the blue star of the world. But not a single god came out. But the cultivation speed of the blue star people is very, very fast. To what extent, Zhang Shiren, a mortal who has only been practicing for 3 years, now facing the Lord of the Gods, Reese. Although Zhang Shiren is a special case of blue star. But it is also enough to illustrate. The cultivation speed of the blue star people is very fast. And after all the neighboring countries were reduced to divine pastures, the gods began to unanimously point their spears at the blue star. Even today's blue star can now block a single divine faction. However, facing the siege of the global gods, it is ultimately difficult to stand alone. The blue star is gradually declining. In the end, only the capital remained, stubbornly resisting under the leadership of Zhang Bairen. But now, it's almost unstoppable. No matter how talented the people of Blue Star are, they only have 3 years left. Damn it, if the heavens give me the blue star for another 10 years, even if all the gods come, why should we fear it? Zhang Bairen said unwillingly. 10 years. I have to admit that if you give this monkey 10 years, even our own god might be afraid, but the fact is, there is no if. Les spoke with a smile. Even he had to admit it. If given another 10 years, Zhang Bairen, the king of the gods, would not be a unified enemy of Zhang Bairen. You should know that Zhang Shiren has only been practicing for 3 years now. If given another 10 or 20 years, he is afraid that he will become the true master of the gods. Fortunately, there is no such thing as if. After today, everything has come to an end. This terrifying monkey is going to die here today. Zhang Bairen stared at Les with some unwillingness and looked around. There are very few cultivators left on Blue Star. The remaining Blue Star citizens can no longer be considered as citizens. It is a lamb brainwashed by the gods. Ha ha ha, I never expected that after thousands of years of my glorious blue star, I would die in the hands of the gods today, which is worthy of my blue star's status. Zhang Byron burst out laughing. Ladies and gentlemen, now that my blue star has reached the brink of life and death, are you willing to explore a future together with Zhang? Surrounded by various gods, the blue star cultivators stared fixedly at them. They all picked up their own magic tools. A Taoist held a brush in his hand and laughed loudly, "Why should I die as a Taoist?" A monk clasped his palms together and made a statue of Diamond's angry eyes, "Surrender the demon, it is at this moment." There are also scholars holding books of sages and sages, with a majestic aura around their bodies. Confucius said to become benevolent, Meng said to take righteousness. Today, our generation sacrifices ourselves to take righteousness, and kills ourselves to become benevolent. There are also blue star soldiers, dressed in battle robes and armor, with firm eyes and silence. Everyone shouted in unison, "Our cultivators, why fear death?" After speaking, Zhang Byron took the lead and rushed towards Les, hugging him tightly, and his whole body turned extremely red. You crazy person, are you burning your soul? Do you know that once your soul is burned, you have no chance of reincarnation? Stop it. Everything can be discussed. Les panicked as he looked at Zhang Boren getting closer and closer. Zhang Shuren is burning himself to achieve self-destruction. This self-explosion will be a collection of all explosive arts in human history, and will be countless times more powerful. Blowing up Les and the surrounding gods was more than enough. Ha ha ha, you're afraid. So even the kings of the gods would be afraid. Will the kings of the gods die? I want to give it a try. Zhang Boren burst into laughter and rushed into space with Les in his arms. He wants to eliminate the enemy for Blue Star and leave a glimmer of hope for Blue Star. Soon, the cultivators around the blue stars heard the sound of explosions one by one. Carrying the gods. And a huge light lit up in space. There is no sound coming. Silent. Blue Star and Unknown University, Class 2, Grade 3. Zhang Byron suddenly got up from the seat, still feeling a bit confused. He just burned his soul and died with Les. But at the end, a huge, shimmering golden list, a black scroll, and an iron whip used by ancient generals shimmering with gold appeared in front of him. Fengshen Bang, Life and Death Book, beat the divine whip. He picked them up. In an instant, a brand new path of cultivation appeared before his eyes. Xianxia Shinto. With this path that takes shape quickly, has strong combat power, is immortal in life and death, and is immortal in spirit. Blue Star will completely annihilate the gods. I thought I was destined to die, but I didn't expect that the three mythological treasures of Fengshen Bang, Life and Death Battle, and Whipping the Divine Whip, would appear. Zhang Boren murmured. The whole person is still in an unbelievable state to this day. These three treasures protected his true spirit at the most critical moment. Send him back. And now, his identity is the Lord of the Immortal Court, the Immortal Emperor Zhang Shuren. Zhaoshuyuan.com. Yes, both the Underworld and the Immortal Court are now under his jurisdiction. The only regret is there is no vacancy in the entire Immortal Court and Underworld. The empty throne tells Zhang Boren that the Immortal Court was once powerful. Also telling Zhang Byron that there may be enemies more powerful than the gods. Staring intently at the blue star. Anyway, now that I am back, I will definitely not let the tragedy of my previous life happen again. Since the Immortal Court and the Underworld have been destroyed, then I, Blue Star, everyone will practice to make up for this gap. Zhang Boren murmured to himself, and the teacher on stage was staring at Zhang Boren in a daze. I couldn't help but have bulging veins. This is a beautiful and charming young woman. She picked up the chalk and threw it at Zhang Shuren. Zhang Boren, if you don't listen to the class, don't stay in this classroom and get out. Okay, Teacher Li. Zhang Shuren stood up and walked out. This teacher Li, I don't know why I'm not happy with him. Furthermore, in the days ahead, he will need a lot of time. There is no time to waste on this college entrance examination. He wants to establish one as soon as possible. Belonging to the vast immortal courtyard of the Blue Star. Suppress everything in the world. What he needs now is to establish a small extraordinary force first. Then go and communicate with the senior members of the Blue Star Dragon team, surface everything. Now is his 3rd year of high school, and there are still 3 years left until his spiritual energy recovers. It will be 5 years before the arrival of the gods. There are still 6 years left until the end of the war. Time there aren't many left. Chapter 2. Persuading the Martial Souls. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, in front of everyone's eyes. Zhang Boren left the classroom straight away. Not a word remained. Without a single cloud. Hiss. Why didn't you notice Lao Zhang so carefree before? Zhang Shuren's desk mate, Lu Bao sighed. Zhang Shuren. Stop me. Teacher Li spoke and asked Zhang Shuren to stop. This is the classroom. How can you just leave? You let me go out, I won't go out. I don't care about any classroom, I just leave. Zhang Bairen spoke up. Not to mention that he only had a momentary confusion in his eyes during class. Not even disturbing classroom order. If it weren't for him, there wouldn't be much time left. He must stop now and have a good argument with Teacher Li. But not now, he's in a hurry. After speaking, he left the classroom directly. Zhang Buren. Stop for my mother. Teacher Li ran up and spoke loudly. The whole person looked extremely angry. She felt that Zhang Boren made her feel very embarrassed. But I don't know why. Zhang Shuren's footsteps were clearly very slow. But she never caught up. In the end, I could only watch Zhang Shuren disappear here helplessly. Zhang Shuren left the school like this. He reached out his hand and clenched his fist. I felt my own strength. It's 1% of its peak period, equivalent to the appearance of a mid-level god, and this is only 1/1,000,000th of the peak strength of the Immortal Court Emperor and the Lord of the Underworld. It's not even enough to know how powerful the ancient Immortal Court and the Underworld were. Zhang Boren murmured to himself. There is an ancient martial arts cemetery nearby, which buries all the great souls of the ancient martial arts battles hundreds of years ago. I believe they will stand up again. Zhang Bairen said, practicing Taoist secret techniques under his feet, shrinking to an inch and heading towards the direction of the cemetery. The technique of shrinking the ground into inches is very convenient. Just 2 seconds. He arrived at this ancient cemetery. It was the Qi family army that Qi Jiguang fought against the Japanese several hundred years ago. Looking up at the sky above this cemetery through his divine power, I saw a group of ancient martial souls with smiles on their faces, dressed in ancient martial costumes, standing in the sky. Looking at the people below with a kind expression. Until Zhang Shuren stepped into this cemetery. Their expressions changed. Staring intently at Zhang Bairen. Intuition told them that the young man in front of them was a bit dangerous. Senior, the Blue Star is in danger. Young man Zhang Boren, I would like to invite you to come out of the mountain, reorganize the mountains and rivers, and turn the tide. Zhang Bairen respectfully spoke up. Even if my current identity is Immortal Emperor or Fundu Emperor. He won't be reckless in front of this group of people either. Just because they were the strong warriors of the ancient martial arts era. Kid, what are you talking nonsense about? In this peaceful and prosperous era, where is it that if you say it's destroyed, it will be destroyed? You said it was destroyed, who destroyed it? The Japanese pirates. They deserve it too. These old martial souls spoke one by one. In an instant, the whole world became noisy. Senior, please be quiet, listen to me. Zhang Bairen looked at the old martial soul with his mouth full of gossip, and couldn't help but feel two big heads. But he must persuade well. Little kid, I want to see what terrifying rumors you can say. A soul of ancient martial arts floated up and asked. 5 years later, extraterrestrial civilizations will launch the apocalyptic war, enslaving all humans and turning them into captive chives and lambs. I am reborn from the future, seniors. We need your help. Zhang Bairen spoke with a sincere expression. Ha ha ha, when I say, young child, can't you make up some reality if you lie? A soul of ancient martial arts burst out laughing, and the whole person laughed in a forward and backward roll. In an instant, the old martial souls in the sky burst into laughter. Their generation, with their own hands, shattered the enemies of the Blue Star Bull Ghost and Snake God. As a result, a young man came here. What to say with wild words? What is it that in 5 years, the entire human race will be destroyed by those ancient bird gods? Have you ever heard of the destruction of the mountain and temple? Senior, I did not deceive you. I came with sincerity to invite you out of the mountain. If you don't believe me, you see. Zhang Bairen spoke up, and in an instant, a Tai Chi yin-yang fish slowly spun in his hand. And what was playing in his hand was the scene known as the apocalyptic war for humanity. In an instant, the souls of ancient martial arts in the sky floated down one after another, surrounding Zhang Bairen and looking at him with a strange expression. Darling, has Blue Star's technology developed to this extent now? Old Lu, take a look at your unseen appearance. So, what's that called? A doll who used to sweep my grave mentioned it before. Lao Shi, how are you smiling at Lao Lu? That's holographic projection technology. Are you ground beetle? Yes, it's holographic projection technology. It's really a great technique. With this, our children can learn better, right? The problem is that we don't have this technology now, and even if we do, it's not appropriate to let a young person hold it with one hand. A soul of ancient martial arts wearing glasses said. In an instant, upon listening to the words of the glass ancient martial soul on zhaohuan.com, many ancient martial souls were taken aback. Later, they understood. Perhaps the young man in front of me is really traveling from the future. And what he said is also true. Little doll, to be honest with Grandpa, what you said about the alien invasion in 5 years is true. An old soul of ancient martial arts approached Zhang Bairen and asked. Senior, it's a god, not an alien. Everything I say is true. Zhang Bairen spoke with a sincere expression. Damn it, don't worry about the Pobi gods or aliens, bully our children, we'll make them die. The old soul of ancient martial arts spoke with some dissatisfaction. Senior, I thank you on behalf of future generations' descendants. Zhang Bairen said that although this future generation only has about 6 years left. What can we do in 6 years? It's hard to say, but for Zhang Shiren. If everything goes smoothly in 6 years, it will be enough to build a grand immortal court that can suppress the world. How can we help you? You say, we will do everything we can to help you. The old soul of ancient martial arts spoke up. I have a list of deities here, and I hope that all seniors can join this list and become heavenly soldiers and generals. Zhang Bairen spoke up and saw a list of golden masterpieces in his hand. Fengshen list. Be good, is this the legendary list of gods? Are you the legendary Xianxia? A soul of ancient martial arts sighed. Zhang Bairen shook his head and said truthfully, it's a little taller than him. Chapter 3. Sincerity is the ultimate skill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, even taller than Grand Master Jiang, can you possibly be a immortal emperor? Ha ha ha. The souls of ancient martial arts around them laughed and said. But when they looked at Zhang Bairen, who was smiling and silent. Stunted. Completely stunned. Then, they saw Zhang Bairen pointing to the top position on the list of gods. Write a few big characters in a clear and innocent manner. Tai Shang Kai Tian wields talismans, imperial calendar, containing the true body of the Tao, Jin Ke Yun Gong, 9 domes, imperial calendar, 1 Dao Wu Wei De Dao, Ming Jian Hao Tian Jin Ke, Supreme Immortal Emperor pardons the Great Heavenly Lord, Xian Qiong Gao God. Zhang Bairen. Oh my God, it's really the Heavenly King Laozi, a soul of ancient martial arts exclaimed in surprise. That's not right, isn't the immortal emperor named Zhang Bairen, said another ancient martial soul, who was combing Taoist temples. Hi, Zhang Shiren, Zhang Bairen, it's almost time to shout. Let this kid seal a god first. If he really can seal a god, we'll believe him, said a soul of ancient martial arts. If my old grandson can live a godly life, don't say that. Let me just kneel down and call him Immortal Emperor Grandpa. A somewhat comical-looking soul of ancient martial arts spoke up. He is certainly joking. Then please all seniors, join the list. Zhang Bairen spoke up. Then he appeared with a divine whip in his hand, transforming into a pen. Soon, a soul of ancient martial arts arrived in front of Zhang Shiren. Can you really grant us a divine title, young child? Gu Wu's soul asked. Yes, it's possible, Zhang Bairen nodded without denying anything. What do I need to do? Gu Wu's soul asked. Your name and birth date are 8 characters, Zhang Shiren said. The soul of Gu Wu didn't say much, but directly stated his birth date and 8 characters. Zhang Bairen instantly wrote the name of the soul of ancient martial arts in the heavenly soldier column. At the moment of receiving the pen, a golden light rushed onto the soul of this ancient warrior. In an instant, the golden light was shining brightly, even the ordinary people on the ground could see this golden divine light. Then a mighty golden armored heavenly soldier appeared in this world. Wearing a shining golden armor, he exudes a dignified and precious appearance. I'll go, old Zhang. You're so powerful now. I didn't expect you to be a god in your lifetime. A group of ancient martial souls were circling around the ancient martial soul, who had been deified as a heavenly weapon, and said. Go there, what is the year of life? We are ghosts now, this is called the year of death, ha. Old Zhang retorted with a smile. He now curiously touched his tombstone and then turned around curiously. All the tactile sensations are as if they were alive. Being a ghost is completely different from the feeling of tasteless food and imperceptible touch. Ha, I should be considered a god now. I didn't expect to be able to carefully experience this world in my lifetime. Old Zhang sighed happily, having fought for a lifetime, he wanted to enjoy himself. Little doll, look at me. I also want to be a god. Can you see if you can? A soul of ancient martial arts drifted up to Zhang Shiren and smiled as he spoke. No problem, senior. Could you please provide your name and birth date in 8 characters? Zhang Bairen said, successfully sealing the first heavenly soldier. He was very satisfied with this success. Moreover, the surrounding people also recorded the scene of the heavenly soldier. I believe the big shot above will soon find him. Quickly, with each of the ancient martial souls reporting their names and birthdates. Golden armored heavenly soldiers stepped on auspicious clouds one by one and appeared in this world. Shocked by the people who came to pay their respects at the Gu Wu cemetery. Oh my goodness, ancient martial arts have shown their spirit. A young man said, then knelt directly on the ground and began to bow down to the heavenly soldiers in the air. This move made the people around also start to kneel and worship. After all, there aren't many movie shooting venues around here. A heavenly soldier looked at the crowd kneeling below and couldn't help but feel a bit dissatisfied. His long spear in his hand knocked on Shang Yun. He let out a terrifying sound, coughed lightly, and spoke. Get up. Don't kneel. We have been fighting in the ancient martial arts war for hundreds of years, not to make children kneel and worship others as dogs. Even us. It's not worth kneeling. The people below burst into tears of emotion upon hearing this. This is their ancestor. Young child, you have made us divine. Next, you can talk about how we can help you. A heavenly soldier approached Zhang Boren and asked. Wait, said Zhang Biren. Wait. What can we wait for? Tianbing asked. When the country needs you, you can come on stage. Now. I need to talk to the person in charge of the dragon group. After Zhang Shuren finished speaking, he teleported to an office hidden in the courtyard of Sai. The street office is actually the headquarters of the dragon group. He appeared directly in the office of the person in charge, Li Qing. At this moment, Li Qing was reviewing the document and looking at the person who suddenly appeared. He calmly looked at the other person and asked in a deep voice, Hello, I am Li Qing. How do you address me? I am Zhang Biren, and you can also call me Fengdu Emperor or Immortal Emperor. You can find me at the book garden www.zhaosuiyuan.com. Zhang Biren spoke up. Since he took over these three top-notch artifacts from the Immortal Court and the Underworld, these two deities and names have been with him for a lifetime. Carrying the cause and effect of the Heavenly Emperor. Immortal Emperor. Fengdu Emperor. Li Qing was stunned to a rare extent. When Zhang Shuren was able to overcome numerous formations and modern technology and reach his office directly, he knew that this person had extraordinary skills. But he didn't expect that Zhang Biren would claim to be so. Could it be that after acquiring extraordinary abilities, he also developed delusions? Actually, these are just my new identity. My true identity is from Blue Star 5 years later. Zhang Biren spoke up. Sincere eyes. He doesn't intend to hide anything, after all, in front of these old foxes who have been playing with their tricks for decades. His mental skills are extremely ridiculous. Facing these old foxes, sincerity is the necessity of communication. So, you're a legendary traveler. How can you prove it? In 3 years' time, the revival of spiritual energy will come. At that time, all Taoist, Buddhist, Confucian and other martial arts can be cultivated into immortals. In the second year of spiritual energy revival, the gods of the Western continent will descend and rule over other countries on the Blue Star. They will then launch a siege on us. Finally, 6 years later, we will be alone and the last group of cultivators and the gods will self-destruct and perish together. Zhang Biren said slowly, although he did not fully explain his words. But after listening to Zhang Boren's words, Li Qing could imagine the tragic atmosphere of being surrounded by enemies on all sides and dying for the people. Li Qing narrowed her eyes and didn't say whether she believed it or not. She just asked, even if what you said is true, since all the gods in the Western continent have descended, where have our Eastern gods gone? What role have they played in this war? Chapter 4. This is an old hero. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Li Qing spoke up and asked. In his mind, since all the Western gods have descended, where have their Eastern gods gone? Did they stand idly by in this war, or did they contribute to the situation? Zhang Boren was stunned for a moment. He had also thought about this question countless nights ago. Why have all the Western gods descended? However, the Eastern heavenly and earthly realms have disappeared without a trace. Even a semi-localized Lingshan is nowhere to be seen. Only the White Elephant Kingdom can boast of ascending to heaven, but in fact, Brahma, who is not even a lower deity, exists. But now, looking at the empty list of gods. There is also the empty side in the Book of Life and Death that contains the Yin God. Combined with the incredibly fast cultivation speed of the Chinese people. He thought he understood. The heavenly court has encountered a more important enemy. So a part of the deities transformed into the fortune of China and fell into the human world. Make the cultivation speed of the Chinese people incredibly fast. Let Huaxia rely on its own strength to overcome this calamity. Unfortunately, time is still too short. If it takes a little longer, it is entirely possible for Huaxia to completely overturn and then dominate the world. But it's not too late to start over now. They have transformed into the fortune of the Chinese people, making them like dragons. Unfortunately, time is still too short, otherwise we could have won the Battle of Doomsday, counterattacked the gods, and liberated the world once again. Zhang Shuren revealed his speculation. I understand, so how did you travel back? Can you explain in detail? Of course, it's okay if you don't want to, after all, you still have to have some of your own secrets. Li Qing spoke up. Zhang Boren looked around. What is in front of me is my former boss. He knows the character of his old boss well. In order for Huaxia to have enough time, he took Hades, the underworld king, to space to self-destruct and perish together with Hades. I also bought 6 months of breathing time for Huaxia. Being upright throughout one's life, discerning right from wrong. If you want to know, I can naturally tell you that at the last moment of the Doomsday War, when I led Zeus into space to self-destruct and perish with him, 3 precious treasures. The Life and Death Book, the Sealing God List, and the Whip appeared in front of me, preserving my true spirit, bringing me back to the present, and becoming the highest-ranking emperor in the heavenly and earthly realms. Li Qing spoke with a sincere expression in his eyes. He believes that these people present will not betray him. Li Qing is an old boss, and he still has a whip in his hand. Beating the divine whip is basically a dimensionality reduction blow to the gods on the list of gods. There are no other exceptions. To whip the divine whip, simply recite the person's name silently and then gently wave it. No matter how far away that person is, it will be the result of an instant mental exhaustion. Okay, I believe your words so far. So, what can you do to help China now? Li Qing spoke up and asked. I can confer the title of Heavenly Soldier, and then spread the belief in the heavenly court abroad, making my country stronger and unlocking more divine positions. In the end, China is the heavenly court, and the heavenly court is China. Zhang Biren spoke with great enthusiasm. The scene he was talking about made Li Qing start to feel tempted. As pointed out by the Huaxia sword, 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals arrived in an instant, unstoppable. So, what lighthouse country, what bullshit neon country? It's all for shipping. How should we cooperate with you? Li Qing spoke up and asked. After I have appointed 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals, I will spread the faith of the heavenly court abroad. The people of China should strive for self-improvement, and the faith of the heavenly court cannot be open to the people of China. Is it a divine battle similar to the Western Crusades? Li Qing asked. Yes, but one thing is different. The Crusaders used the name of faith to accumulate wealth, and we just need faith. After 3 years, when spiritual energy recovers and various regions' cultivation techniques appear, our heavenly court can quickly support the cultivators. The heavenly court and the cultivators complement each other. So, even if the gods come, they only have the chance to kneel down. Zhang Biren spoke up, looking excited all over. Not for war, just to make everyone in China like dragons. Li Qingwen carefully thought about the scene. The world is a heavenly realm, discovered by the Western gods upon their arrival. The overall situation in China has been established, and they are powerless to resist. That scene, just thinking about it, makes people very excited. Very good, Comrade Zhang Shuren. We believe your words. The martyrs' cemetery can be open to you, but I cannot decide on the matter of war. After all, you should be able to know about this nature. Li Qing spoke decisively. Zhang Biren nodded and said, I know that no matter who initiates it first and what the motive is, it is destined to bear the eternal reputation. If possible, Tell the senior management that I will bear this reputation. Li Qin nodded without persuading anything. After all, Zhang Bairen has become the Jade Emperor. Will he be afraid of such a small and eternal curse? Definitely not. If we win against the gods in the future. So, no matter how dictatorial, despicable, or inhumane Zhang Bairen's behavior is now, he is all heroes of the earth. If possible, I hope Comrade Zhang Shuren can come with me to a high-level meeting to discuss the results with them. Your presence would be more convincing, and if you could demonstrate some abilities beyond ordinary people, it would be more likely. Li Qin spoke up. No problem, Zhang Bairen nodded. Zhaozuiyuan.com. Whether or not to open the function is not the key. Believe in whoever it is. So no one will refuse. Moreover, the deity bestows all benefits without any harm. Agreeing to seal the gods was within his expectations. It's okay if this thing succeeds. Accidentally, the nuclear bomb exploded with a bang. Human beings are finished playing. We need to be careful again and again to destroy all the nuclear missile launch systems of various countries with lightning speed. The only one who can achieve this is Zhang Bairen. The current heavenly soldiers and generals have not yet reached their peak period and cannot achieve this. Only with the power of Zhang Bairen, the middle god, can he quietly destroy the launch systems of various countries. Okay, Comrade Zhang Shuren, please pack up and come with us to the capital. Li Qin spoke up. Zhang Bairen nodded and touched his pocket, which was empty. Well, there's nothing to pack anymore. Senior, please come with me to the capital. Then Zhang Bairen spoke up. Hey, where did you get so much courtesy? Let's just leave. By the way, the young boy, our fourth child. I also want to ask you to help seal a god. He can't live long now, I don't know if he can handle it. A heavenly soldier led the old man to speak. Grandpa Jade Emperor, I also want to be a god, I don't know if I can do it. The old man's trembling mouth. The sound of the Jade Emperor's grandfather almost caused Zhang Shuren to have a myocardial infarction, which had passed away. This is an old hero. Call him that, even if he is the Jade Emperor, he will have to give up his life. Chapter 6. The Western Gods Have No Return. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, this is the only way to do it. As he raised his hand, the Tai Chi Yin Yang fish reappeared in Zhang Shuren's palm. Reciting obscure spells in his mouth, Zhang Bairen's eyebrows burst with golden light. At this moment, the Tai Chi Yin Yang fish seemed to suddenly come to life. He rushed straight towards the direction of everyone around him. Wherever they passed, a golden curtain was left behind, enveloping everyone present in groups. You. What are you doing? Someone. Hurry up, someone. Take him down. This sudden change startled everyone. Don't panic, I won't harm you adults, Zhang Bairen comforted softly, since you don't believe me, then let's personally experience it yourself. In an instant, Zhang Shuren's pupils connected yin and yang. The spirits of everyone present were all controlled by the Tai Chi Yin Yang fish, and their eyes rolled and they lost consciousness. Tai Chi Yin Yang fish is not just used to play apocalyptic scenes. Its other purpose is to link yin and yang, manipulate the souls of others to recall memories. Now, everyone present has been brought into his divine consciousness by Zhang Bairen. Here, everyone will personally experience the despair of the end. Spiritual energy revives, and the gods descend. All living beings in the world are ants, mercilessly harvested and enslaved. Despair that cannot be described even in the face of despair and despair. Especially in the ultimate battle, Zhang Bairen led the final cultivator to burn his soul and resist the gods even if it meant self-destruction. It deeply touched the hearts of everyone present. I don't know how long it took, but everyone finally slowly woke up. On everyone's face, there are two deep tears hanging. And the terror of the gods is deeply imprinted in every soul. At this moment, the conference hall was as silent as death. At this moment, Zhang Bairen's face was slightly pale, and a layer of fine sweat oozed from his forehead. Now, with his strength, it is still a bit troublesome to forcefully mobilize the Tai Chi Yin-Yang fish and lead so many people to go back. However, seeing the appearance of the high-ranking officials present, Zhang Bairen couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. All of this is worth it, after all. Instead of wasting words with them, it's better for them to experience it firsthand. In this way, even if they don't want to take it seriously, it's impossible. At this moment, the harsh middle-aged man was the first to speak up and break the silence. Is everything just now real or an illusion? Everyone looked at Zhang Bairen together, also wanting to get the answer from his mouth. But Zhang Bairen didn't speak, instead he sneered and turned around to leave. This move really caught everyone off guard. Just as he walked to the door, about to push it open and leave, an old man quickly stood up and spoke up to dissuade, "Comrade Zhang Shiren. Please wait. I believe all of this is true." Zhang Bairen stood still and the old man glared angrily at the mean middle-aged man, then said, "Let's start voting now. If you believe everything just now was true, please raise your hand." After the old man finished speaking, he slowly raised his hand, and after a moment, several others also expressed agreement. And the remaining few people are not completely skeptical, they are just hesitant or unwilling to face reality. The old man put down his hand and said, "All right, 9-3 is no longer necessary for controversy. Comrade Zhang Shiren, on behalf of the parliament, I, Lu Baiyu, apologize for the impoliteness just now. Please do not argue with us. Just because this matter is indeed too shocking, after experiencing that just now, I still have lingering fear and shock. I didn't expect that the end of the world would come so suddenly and in such despair." Zhang Bairen looked at the old man in surprise, not realizing that this was actually Lu Baiyu, one of the founders of the Lubiyulong group. Li Qing had to call out to the old leader when he saw him. In the previous life, at the beginning of the apocalypse, he personally led the dragon group to resist the gods. He has saved countless lives, even Li Qing has been saved several times by him. Later, he made a tragic and heroic sacrifice, burning his soul at the last moment and dying alongside dozens of divine kings. In that case, Zhang Shiren must give him enough face. I dare not. Just because time waits for no one, it was really helpless to act rashly just now. Please don't mind, everyone. Push this matter forward as soon as possible and prepare as soon as possible. After Zhang Bairen finished speaking, Lu Baiyu nodded and said, "This is natural. Comrade Zhang Bairen, you can rest assured." Speaking, Lu Baiyu took out a token from his pocket and handed it to Zhang Shiren. "Comrade Zhang Shiren, take this token first. Whenever you have any needs, just speak up. I will do my best to meet them." "Thank you very much, Mr. Lu." Thanks to Lu Baiyu, Zhang Shiren finally looked at the token in his hand. But this sight couldn't help but surprise him, because it was actually a dragon card. In the previous life, the dragon card in Li Qing's hand had no higher authority than the one in his hand. As long as he has this, Zhang Shiren can mobilize any member of the dragon group within the dragon kingdom at any time. Even Li Qing, the former boss, became his subordinate at this moment. Zhaoshuyuan.com however, the high-rise buildings inside the house had no objections or obstacles at all. On the contrary, someone even brought a chair and invited Zhang Shiren to sit down and discuss together. After 10 hours of intense discussion, Zhang Bairen finally walked out of the conference hall. During these 10 hours, almost all of them were Zhang Shiren speaking. Zhang Bairen believes that there are no gods in the Eastern Immortal Court and the underworld after the end of the day. One possibility is that they are in trouble, and the other is that there is a general lack of faith among the people of the East. 3 clear and 6 imperial officials, 4 gods from all directions, 5 elders from all directions, and a group of celestial palace star officials. Not to mention being a citizen, even the high-ranking officials present here cannot fully explain each one. And what the gods need most is faith, just like the Western gods. Without the faith of the people, there is no power. The first thing they need to do now is to popularize the gods and make their people believe in them, in order to empower the gods in the immortal court. The second step is even simpler. Select talented individuals from the entire country and start practicing. After their spiritual energy recovers, their cultivation will double and they will be able to form considerable combat power in a short period of time. Now, Zhang Bairen is going to awaken the souls of loyal soldiers buried under the ancient tomb, Gu Wuying. In addition, there are also some people Zhang Shiren needs to meet in advance. In the previous life, they bravely died in the face of the gods in the sky. It is precisely because of insufficient strength that there are only regrets left. In this life, whatever Zhang Shiren said, he wanted to protect them. Tell those Western gods to come and go. The mountains and rivers are in danger, the whole country is united in solidarity. Young generation Zhang Bairen. Greet the loyal, righteous, divine, martial, and spiritual blessings of Ren, Yong, Wei, Xian, Hu, Gua, Hu, Min, Jing, and Sui, Yizan, Xiande, Guansheng, the Great Emperor. Chapter 7. 2. Worshipping the Martial Saint Emperor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, at this point. Inside the Guandi temple. With the devout call of Zhang Bairen. The real body of Emperor Guan in front of him suddenly shook violently. Immediately, a deep voice was heard from within the true body of Emperor Guan. Are mountains and rivers in danger? Is the whole country united in solidarity? You're such a brave doll. How dare you talk nonsense here? Immediately after, there was a buzzing explosion. An invisible shock wave spreads in all directions. All the candles and incense in the entire temple were extinguished. In an instant, a solemn and murderous aura that was extremely cold, like a 9-hell, filled the entire temple. This is the murderous aura released by the martial Saint Emperor. For thousands of years now, this strong murderous aura is still shocking and not something that ordinary people can bear. However, Zhang Bairen sat firmly in Mount Taishan Mountain, still standing there, clasping his fists and bowing respectfully to the real body of Guan Emperor. At this moment, the heroic spirits of the Qi family on the list of deities were deeply intimidated when they felt this fierce killing aura. Some of the Qi family veterans have even started praying for forgiveness from the martial Saint Emperor. Although they are now golden-armored heavenly soldiers, their worship and respect for the martial Saint Emperor have not changed in the slightest. Wusheng Emperor is here, please forgive me. What the immortal Emperor said is true. We dare not fabricate and deceive the Emperor recklessly. The current peace is only temporary, and soon the whole world will face disaster. Spiritual energy is revived, the gods are attacking, and all living beings are charred. Please also ask the martial Saint Emperor for his guidance. The 4 major characters, Wusheng Emperor, were revered by the whole nation as the god of protecting the country and blessing the army in their era. A great hero who is loyal to the liver, loyal to the gallbladder, loyal to the clouds and sky, and stands between heaven and earth with a straight sword. The Qi family army has even reached a crazy level of admiration for him, and before every expedition, they must first pay their respects. But their prayers at this moment have not been answered. Because the Emperor Wusheng has been observing Zhang Shiren. He keenly felt that there was something unusual about Zhang Bairen. This feeling is something he has never experienced in thousands of years. The young man in front of him was thin and frail in stature, but he had a martial arts aura that engulfed mountains and rivers. This martial aura, even after feeling his murderous intimidation, did not weaken at all, but rather became even more powerful. It's really strange, isn't this young man a monster? At this moment, Zhang Bairen slowly opened his eyes. His right hand moved slightly, and the yin-yang Pisces appeared in his hand. Just like when he was at the Qi family's tomb, Zhang Bairen wanted to unleash the yin-yang Pisces. Let them see that what they say is true and convince the gods of Guanyu. But before Zhang Bairen could speak, the Wusheng emperor suddenly became furious and said, "Bold! You're an outsider. How could you teach your skills here?" Zhang Bairen did not expect that the pair of yin and yang Pisces in his hand had been treated as evil by the martial saint emperor. However, it is reasonable to assume that the yin-yang Pisces were originally found by Zhang Shuren from the 9 nether hell. Due to shuttling between yin and yang all year round, it is both righteous and evil, as well as good and evil, and it is also contaminated with a lot of evil energy. The heroes of the Qi family have no special feelings towards the yin-yang Pisces. But how does the martial saint emperor exist? His righteous energy is enough to penetrate the 9 heavens. As soon as Zhang Shuren took it out, he sensed something unusual and mistakenly thought it was some kind of monster. "How dare you come out with such things in this Guandi temple? Don't you wait to be beaten?" But at this moment it was too difficult for Zhang Bairen to explain, and the true body of the martial saint emperor suddenly opened his eyes fiercely. Immediately, he saw his true body move nearly 10 meters away, clenched his Qinglong Yenhua blade in his hand, and swung it straight towards Zhang Shuren. A massive force, mixed with a piercing sound, accompanied by a desperate and fierce killing intent. Zhang Bairen's figure flashed and his feet shrunk to an inch, instantly retreating several tens of meters away. But before he could strike, he saw the Wusheng emperor suddenly dodge and approach, striking again. Zhang Bairen easily dodged again, but there was no intention of retaliating. And with 2 consecutive strikes, the Wusheng emperor couldn't help but be enraged by it. The next second, Emperor Wusheng let out a loud shout and waved his green dragon Yenhua blade, throwing it fiercely towards Zhang Shuren. The huge green dragon Yenhua blade transformed into a truly ferocious green dragon at this moment. That imposing aura was like opening a huge mouth to devour Zhang Shuren. The spirit of the Qi family, who was carrying him with him, was truly frightened. "It's over. We've made the martial saint emperor unhappy. We'll be punished by heaven now. Oh no, it's really terrible. What should I do? No way. We can't continue like this. Hurry up. Kneel down and worship the martial saint emperor. I pray for his forgiveness." But at this moment, I saw Zhang Shuren's hands suddenly cross over his chest. The spiritual energy flows around the body and suddenly releases when it gathers in both arms. A rainbow glow enveloped Zhang Shuren like a barrier. Zhang Bairen reached out to grab the blue dragon Yenhua blade, and the colorful glow spread with it. For a moment, this fierce blow was intercepted directly by Zhang Shuren. The Qinglong Yenhua blade, which was over 10 meters long, was also grabbed by Zhang Bairen with one hand. Zhaoshuyuan.com. But this was not over yet. The Qinglong Yenhua blade drew a huge arc in Zhang Shuren's hand, and then flew back towards the Wusheng emperor again. Wusheng emperor did not move, just like Zhang Bairen. He raised his hand and was about to pick it up. What Wusheng emperor did not expect was the moment when he came into contact with the Qinglong Yenhua blade. A huge force backfired on him from the Qinglong Yenhua blade. Emperor Wusheng instinctively stabilized his figure, but unexpectedly took a half step back. Although it is only half a step, it also indicates a problem that Zhang Shuren's strength is above him. The Wusheng emperor did not continue to attack. He tightly grasped the green dragon Yenhua blade in his hand and constantly examined Zhang Shuren in front of him. This young man looks only a teenager, why is he so powerful? It's really puzzling to him. And realized that he had passed the test of the martial saint emperor. Zhang Bairen bowed respectfully again and said, "I am not talented, so please do not blame the martial saint emperor." Speaking, Zhang Bairen once again took out the yin-yang Pisces and said, "This is not what kind of evil thing it is. Please make a decision after reading it, Lord Wusheng. Emperor Wu showed no intention of rejection, as the yin-yang Pisces slowly spun and Zhang Shiren released the apocalyptic scene for Emperor Wu to watch. After a long time, the face of Emperor Wu was uncertain. He didn't expect that 5 years later, humans would suffer such a calamity. Taking back the yin and yang Pisces, Emperor Wusheng looked at Zhang Shiren and said, "Who are you?" "I am just a newcomer who wants to save the world." Young generation Zhang Shiren. Once again, I pay my respects to the loyal, righteous, divine, martial, and spiritual blessings of Ren Yongwei, who is brave, majestic, and protects the country, the people, and the people. I sincerely pacify and praise the Holy Emperor of Guanda. Please, Emperor Guangjun, come out of the mountain. Give me a helping hand. Chapter 8. Unite against the enemy. Wusheng Emperor goes out of the mountain. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, looking at Zhang Boren, recalling the terrifying scene just now. Countless people have lost their lives, and their lives have been charred with grief. This sad scene reminded him of that turbulent era. Warlords are rising everywhere, the world is in chaos, and countless people are displaced and exposed in the wilderness. Every time I recall this scene, it makes me feel sad and lamentable. But how many years has it just been stable and stable? Is the next disaster starting again? Emperor Wusheng let out a long sigh and looked at Zhang Shiren, saying, "The country is unstable, the mountains and rivers are unstable." Guan was willing to devote himself wholeheartedly and die later. Upon hearing Emperor Wu's words relax, Zhang Biren quickly kowtowed. Wusheng Emperor immediately continued, "Don't call Guan Wusheng Emperor, it's really tedious and verbose. Just call him by name, Guan has never cared about these titles." Zhang Biren said, "I dare not directly call your holy name, why don't I respectfully call you General Guan? It's also possible." Ha ha ha. I'm a little curious. You're a decent junior, what kind of school are you studying from? Also, why did you know about the catastrophe of heaven and earth 5 years later? Could it be? That's right, I have experienced despair once, said Zhang Shiren without concealing anything. Later, my divine soul was protected and preserved by sacred objects, and was sent back again. There is really no need to conceal it. Zhang Shiren then informed Guan Yu of everything. Guan Yu's blood boiled as he heard it. He didn't expect Zhang Biren to be so brave at a young age. Rushing forward and facing death like returning home, if placed in their era, he would definitely be a renowned general in history. Heroes cherish heroes. Guan Yu has always admired warriors like Zhang Boren the most. Unfortunately, there is no good wine in this temple. Otherwise, I must have a few good drinks with you, little brother. Isn't it a pleasure? How difficult is it? General Guan, you need to leave here with me first. The modern world has long been updated and iterated, entering a new era. General Guan. Let me take you to observe this brand new world carefully. Immediately, Zhang Biren pulled out a colorful holy lotus from his waist, emitting a fairy-like aura. Guan Yu's divine soul instantly disappeared into the 7-colored holy lotus, and Zhang Biren then took it back. This colorful holy lotus could have connected the immortal court, but now his spiritual power is not enough, so he can only load Guan Yu's divine soul with the appearance of the colorful holy lotus. Zhang Biren did not want to include Guan Yu in the list of deities, simply because Guan Yu's temple was bustling with incense. It would be a pity if he were to be crowned as a deity, which would not stimulate his true strength. After Zhang Shiren is able to open the immortal court, he will directly assist Guan Yu in becoming an immortal. At that time, his strength will be much stronger than being on the list of gods. At this moment, all the heroic spirits of the Qi family were also excited about it in the list of gods. Can they fight alongside their idol Wusheng Emperor? What a fortunate thing this is. Some Qi family heroes even cheered excitedly, trembling and excited all over. Even some of the heroic spirits of the Qi family burst into tears of joy, holding a golden blade and cheering loudly. In this life, I am fortunate enough to fight alongside Emperor Wu. I am worth dying right away. Aren't you dead for hundreds of years? What nonsense did you say in front of Emperor Wu? I'm feeling happy and confused. I accidentally said the wrong thing. I hope Emperor Wu doesn't blame me. It should be said. May we fight against the Western God Dog with Emperor Wu. Kill him 3 times. That's right. Kill him 3 times out and 3 times in. Kill all those guys. Ha ha ha. That's great. It's really great. I shouldn't have dreamt it. How could I follow the martial Saint Emperor on the expedition together? This is my lifelong wish. Unexpectedly, this wish was fulfilled by Zhang Shiren, a young student. Wait a minute, it seems a bit inappropriate for us to be born after opening our mouths and then closing our mouths. Why don't we all call him the Immortal Emperor? Based on his strength, I think this Immortal Emperor is enough. That's right. This is what the Immortal Emperor said. Zhang Biren listened to the cheers of the heroic souls of the Qi family army on the list of gods, and was also in a great mood. At present, his strength is not strong, and with the support of these powerful ancient martial spirits, he can also provide an additional guarantee. It's time to go, we still have to go to the next place. Zhang Biren dodged and left, shrinking to an inch before stepping 10,000 meters away. However, shortly after Zhang Shiren left, in a shadow not far from the Guandi temple, a figure slowly stood up, staring intently at the direction of Zhang Biren's departure. After a moment, he took out a talisman from his arms. This is a transmission note, and the man reported to the talisman Nehui, Master, the divine soul of Emperor Wu has been taken away by someone. We came a step late. Upon hearing the report, there was an instant crisp sound inside the talisman, as if a water cup had been smashed. Then I heard an angry shout. Bastard! Who the hell did it? Longhu Mountain? Baishan Hall? Or Qianzhong Taoist? Sorry Master, he is a young man he has never seen before. The estimated age is around 17 or 18 years old. But his strength is extremely impressive. Find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Surprisingly, it can shrink to an inch and span tens of thousands of meters in just one step. Upon hearing the report, the man in the transmission talisman's voice became noticeably more cautious and serious. What are you saying? At only 17 or 18 years old, one can shrink to an inch. Can you still step over 10,000 meters? Are you sure you're not joking with me? The man said seriously again, Don't worry, Master. I absolutely have no adulteration. Even just now, I heard the sound of fighting coming from inside the Guandi temple. The spirit of the martial saint was enraged and struck 3 times in a row, but the young man remained unscathed. I suspect that he may have some magical tool in his hand, or rather, he is just a monster capable of carrying the spirit of the martial saint. The man inside the talisman was a bit panicked and said incredulously, It's impossible. Can you carry the spirit of the martial saint with all your strength? Still unscathed. Even those old things in Longhu Mountain cannot guarantee that they will definitely do it. It's okay. No matter how much it is. Black Jew, go and keep an eye on this guy. Get a clear understanding of his background. He is very likely to become a threat to us. If possible, take him down, you know what to do. It's the master. Don't worry. After speaking, the transmission talisman in Black Jew's hand also burned out. And once again, Black Jew slowly disappeared into the shadows, disappearing into thin air. On the other hand, at this time, Zhang Biren had already arrived at Huigen, thousands of miles away. From the moment they stepped here, all the Qi family soldiers spontaneously boiled up. Because they clearly felt that the divine soul of their general Qi Jiguang was here. Chapter 9. Huigen Zhou Guangjun. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. As Zhang Bairen walked, the Qi family soldiers on the list of gods were chattering and arguing incessantly. I feel the spirit of General Qi Jiguang. Is he really here? I haven't seen the general for a long time. I don't know how the general is now. Have you forgotten about our brothers? Are you joking? That's a general. How could you possibly forget us? That's right. We follow the general of life and death, hundreds of battles of all sizes, and how much blood has been shed. I can't even count. Did you forget? At that time, the general personally told us that even if he forgot his own name, he could not forget our brothers. Younger generation. I'm curious, how do you know where the general is? Have you seen him before? As soon as Zhang Bairen mentioned this, he couldn't help but fall into memories. Not to mention, at that time, spiritual energy was revived, although the Eastern gods did not awaken. But many ancient martial souls from the East have indeed emerged. At that time, General Qi Jiguang had led his subordinates to personally guard and fought against some divine kings. However, it was a bit strange to say that many of the ancient martial spirits suddenly disappeared. At that time, some people even tried to search for these ancient martial souls, but all of them returned without a return. Especially Zhang Bairen remembers that a reclusive Taoist from Longhu Mountain seemed to have said something to him. But at that time, Zhang Bairen didn't pay too much attention because everyone, including him, was working hard every day, constantly improving their cultivation in spiritual energy. As for other matters, I really didn't pay too much attention to them. At this moment, a heroic spirit of the Qi family said, Mo Lao. Don't call yourself a posthumous person in the future. Now let's change our language. Everyone calls him the Immortal Emperor. I think this title is good, and we all think it's what the Immortal Emperor called it. Okay. I'll pay attention next time. However, Zhang Bairen said, oh, it's just a title. It's okay for you to call me a descendant. During the conversation, a young man suddenly appeared and blocked Zhang Bairen's way. Hello boss. Our small shop has just opened. Take this flyer to the store for consumption and you can get a 20% discount directly. Zhang Bairen glanced at the young man, who was around 20.1 or 12 years old, with a dark complexion but very shy. Then he looked down at the leaflet in his hand. Fuchuan roasted whole lamb, a secret pickle, was delicious and delicious. Everyone agreed to eat it. Originally, Zhang Bairen never took such small advertisements that were everywhere on the street seriously. But for some reason, Zhang Shuren inexplicably became interested in this young man. There is something special about this young man that seems to attract him. At this moment, Zhang Bairen noticed a faint golden light on the back of the young man's forehead. It was fleeting, but it was still keenly detected by Zhang Bairen. That's right, there is indeed a wisdom root in this young man's body. Huigen, such a thing, may not be of much use in modern society. Carriers are smarter than others or have a faster understanding of affairs. But little did they know that during the period of spiritual revival, due to the nourishment of spiritual energy, many strong people in the entire East were accompanied to some extent by the existence of wisdom roots. At this point, Huigen also reflects its value. Not only in terms of cultivation speed, but also in terms of one's own spiritual energy reserves, it is much higher than others. However, with advantages, there are also equivalent disadvantages. Among them, some cult followers even target people with wise roots. After capturing them, they will attempt to take away their wisdom roots. A more reliable approach would be to use forbidden or secret techniques to attempt to take away the wisdom of others. Of course, there are not many Huigen who have been taken away in this way, but there are also some exceptions. Those who are taken away will be directly consumed by people to increase their own cultivation. Or it could be someone who incorporates it into a magical tool to increase its power, which is extremely bloody and cruel. But among them, there are some even more bloody and cruel beings. Some people will directly dig out the wisdom roots of others. To put it bluntly, just eat someone else's head. There are also some more cruel and crooked ways that can suck away the brainpower of others. Of course, those who know how to do this are generally already possessed. If caught, most of them will be directly killed. The remaining people, however, will evolve into a more terrifying situation. However, this is the later part. At this moment, the young man saw that Zhang Shuren had been staring at him all along. For a moment, he became inexplicably embarrassed and asked, May I ask this, boss? Are you going to our store to try it out? Do you need me to guide you? What's your name? Zhang Boren didn't speak for a while before asking, What's your name? My name is Zhou Guangjun. Boss, do you need any help? Although Zhou Guangjun had some doubts about Zhang Byron's inquiry, he had no intention of concealing it. Zhao's but he couldn't figure out what the young man in front of him, who was even smaller than himself, was actually going to do. At this moment, Zhang Shuren was seen writing a phone number on the flyer with his fingers. Immediately, he said to Zhou Guangjun, If you are dissatisfied with your life and want to change the status quo, then call this number. The phone naturally belongs to Li Qing. When hiring people now, as long as Zhou Guangjun calls Li Qing, he can be taken for training. After the spiritual energy recovers, these people will all be the main combat forces. But Zhou Guangjun looked at that long phone number. After a moment of confusion, he suddenly woke up and spoke slowly, Oh. I finally understand. Are you supposed to apply for an online loan? I don't think it's necessary anymore. Although I don't have money, I'm living in poverty. But now the money is enough for me to barely make ends meet, let's just forget about it. Speaking, Zhou Guangjun returned the flyer in his hand to Zhang Boren. Zhang Boren felt speechless in his heart. How could Zhou Guangjun treat himself as a salesperson for online loans? Well, for such things, Zhang Byron has always looked at their own fate. It doesn't matter whether he makes a phone call or not, as long as Zhang Shuren's words have already been brought there, that's enough. But just as Zhang Boren was about to leave, Zhou Guangjun suddenly stopped him. Please wait a moment. Zhang Byron stood still and looked back, only to see Zhou Guangjun not knowing what he was poking. Then he ran quickly to Zhang Shuren's side and handed him a crumpled 10-yuan bill. You probably didn't eat either, did you? Here's the 10 yuan, let's go eat. Chapter 10. Blood Machine Gate. Bone Doll. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, what? Zhang Shuren stood still, looking at the 10 yuan handed to him by Zhou Guangjun. For a moment, Zhang Shuren didn't even react. Seeing that Zhang Shuren had not received it, Zhou Guangjun immediately handed the money in his hand to Zhang Shuren. Zhou Guangjun smiled innocently and said, Hee, it's okay. You can take it and have something to eat. Look at your skinny face, it's all gone. For a moment, shock and surprise flashed across Zhang Byron's face. Are you joking? What is his identity as Zhang Shuren? Money is no longer in his concept. As long as Zhang Shuren thinks, let alone this small 10 yuan. Even if it's in the billions, billions are just numbers. Because after the revival of spiritual energy, money becomes even more worthless. Some rare and miraculous elixirs or ancient secret scriptures that have emerged from the sky. It has replaced paper currency and gold in modern society as the new hard currency. And among them, a strong body of strength is also the truth of chaotic times and an indispensable capital. However, to Zhang Shuren's surprise, in the eyes of Zhou Guangjun, he thought he was the same as himself. Also forced by this difficult life, a pitiful person wandering on the streets unable to sell. Zhang Boren also thought of a possibility, perhaps rejecting himself, which made him feel a bit embarrassed, and that's why he came up with this kind of bad strategy. No matter what, this person is really quite interesting. Zhang Biren's lips curved slightly as he silently collected the 10 yuan. These 10 yuan, even if it's Zhou Guangjun's offering, he has to decide what he says. Staying by your side may be a good idea as a follower. This person has excellent qualifications, and with a little training, they can make a difference. Zhou Guangjun turned around and was about to leave, but Zhang Biren raised his hand to stop him. But at this moment, Zhang Biren suddenly noticed keenly. Just behind him, a sudden and abrupt figure appeared at some point. Looking back, this person's figure was incredibly thin and small, and he couldn't even feel any anger all over his body. Wearing a black cloak, I couldn't see my face clearly, but I could feel a pair of very captivating eyes staring at me. The spirit of the Qi family army in Guanyu, who were carrying them with them, noticed something unusual. This person is a bit strange, it doesn't seem like a good person. You say he's human. In my opinion, this guy should be called a ghost more appropriately. That's right, there's no anger on this guy's body. Besides, the feeling it gives me is actually full of evil energy. In my opinion, it's better to kill it. To prevent future troubles. But Guanyu didn't speak, but he also had a murderous heart at the moment he saw this person. With just one command from Zhang Shiren, Guanyu can easily break free from the holy lotus and divide it in half. But why use a slaughtering ox knife to kill chickens? Although Zhang Biren did not impose any restrictions on Guanyu, he did not need to take action at this time. I saw Zhang Biren's eyebrows furrow, and in just an instant, I knew exactly what this damn thing was. Bone doll. Did the garbage from the blood machine gate come out so quickly? Zhang Biren's face was full of surprise, because this thing, in the previous life, only appeared as a crooked way after the revival of spiritual energy. I dare not think much, but in the next second, Zhang Biren flashed over to the side of the bone doll. Raising his hand, he grabbed the black robe on the bone doll's body and suddenly tugged at the true face of Mount Lu, revealing it. A thin and short man appeared in front of Zhang Shiren. However, one thing that sets him apart from the average person is that the man's body joints make a karaoke sound. Even his facial features and pupils are replaced by mechanisms. The bone doll launched an attack on Zhang Biren, and suddenly opened its mouth, triggering a crossbow mechanism inside. Several crossbows and arrows with poisonous needles shot out with a loud bang. But Zhang Biren didn't even have the need to dodge, so he raised his hand and lightly waved the highly poisonous crossbow and arrow, which was intercepted by all. The next second, Zhang Biren grabbed the neck of the bone doll and pulled it fiercely. Pui, the head of the bone doll, along with all the mechanisms around its neck, was pulled out by Zhang Shiren and thrown onto the ground to the side. The damaged bone doll was still twitching irregularly on the ground, and Zhang Biren's fingertips twitched slightly. A flame appeared and burned it directly, completely destroying the bone doll. Fortunately, there aren't many people on this street. Otherwise, it's just Zhang Boren's move, pulling his head out on the street. The method of destroying the body and exterminating it may scare a few on the spot. But that's not right. The more Zhang Shiren thought about it, the more strange it became. According to his understanding, the bone doll is a work of the blood machine gate. But the blood machine gate should not be in the mortal world. They were probably formed after the spiritual energy was revived. Just because of these people, at the beginning of creating the sect, they were not called the blood machine sect. They are all craftsmen who advocate mechanical skills, or rather, enthusiasts. Even their sect name was not called this at the beginning. It seems to be a name like the Mechanism Research Association. A group of people from all over the world gathered together just to study ancient mechanism techniques. For them, the complexity of ancient mechanical techniques is not inferior to modern science. On the contrary, there are still many things in ancient mechanism techniques that cannot be replicated by modern technology. But there are many things that are slowly forgotten in the long river of history. For example, the Mo school's mechanism technique, as well as the Chimenduanjia, only the tip of the iceberg remains to this day. And the ultimate goal of these people is to be able to fill this gap in history. But it's unexpected. While excavating ancient tombs and searching for literature, they unexpectedly found a mechanism technique that had never been recorded in history. And these mechanisms are very bloody and cruel, but they are also exquisite. Some people are instantly trapped in it and unable to extricate themselves, wishing to replicate everything inside this mechanism. But some of them are afraid of it and suggest burning these things because the things recorded inside are really unsightly. In this mechanism technique, all living beings in the world can serve as mechanisms. Even certain organs of the body can be replaced by organs, achieving semi-immortality. This kind of mechanism technique cannot make him appear in the world, otherwise it will definitely cause great harm to the world. But some people believe that this is a gift from heaven. It was God who guided them to find it. It cannot be damaged. And this so-called bone doll is one of them, refining the dead into mechanism skills and becoming a killing machine. As for various details, it is estimated that they will be postponed later based on time. A terrifying idea came to his mind. After his rebirth, he inadvertently changed something. Chapter 11. Come with me to save the world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Zhang Shuren had to think so. This bone doll is evidence. He couldn't help but disbelief. And it has also been mentioned in novels and movies. For some reason, the protagonist was unexpectedly reborn, retaining all memories and returning to the starting point. He had a delusion of changing everything, so he made a lot of preparations in advance. Unexpectedly, it was precisely because of this that the timeline also twisted in the dark. Furthermore, certain things may be advanced or postponed as a result. His imagined ending also changed at a certain node. After Zhang Bairen returned, he went to find the spirit of the Qi family army and indirectly contacted Li Qin, as well as senior members of the parliament. Informed them of the situation of the end of the world and thus obtained the dragon card. Each one of these piles has resulted in an overdraft in advance. If there is a significant change in the outcome, it is difficult to say whether there will be any change at any point in the process. The situation may have become somewhat unpredictable, and Zhang Bairen needs to make preparations and adjustments faster. However, for Zhang Boren, the blood machine gate is just a group of miscellaneous fish that play tricks, and it doesn't even enter the mainstream. Even after the revival of spiritual energy, they did not achieve any significant accomplishments. More importantly, Zhang Bairen couldn't remember how he ended up being wiped out by sharing some leftover food in the corner. After dealing with all of this, Zhang Bairen turned around and left, ready to go find Zhou Guangjun who had just arrived. This person has good qualifications. In order to prepare for the future, we need to let him go and hone his skills. Follow the advertisement just now and find this Fuchuan roasted whole lamb. As expected, Zhou Guangjun stood at the door distributing flyers. But despite Zhou Guangjuan's busy schedule, no one stopped there. In addition, the Fuchuan roasted whole lamb barbecue behind him is also Monroe Kek, which is pitifully small. As Zhang Bairen walked forward, he said to Zhou Guangjuan, "We meet again." When Zhou Guangjuan saw Zhang Boren, he was puzzled and said, "Hey. Didn't you go eat? Or rather, 10 yuan is not enough, but I'm sorry I don't have any more." But Zhang Boren smiled and said, He, I might as well say it clearly. I'm not looking for you for money, on the contrary, I've decided to change your life and get rid of these days of hardship." As soon as these words were spoken, Zhou Guangjun looked at Zhang Shiren with a helpless expression on his face. Change the hardships. Do you want to borrow online loans? I don't have anything to mortgage. And I also said, although I don't have much money now and live in poverty, I can still barely make a living. I am very satisfied with my current life. Isn't it good to just let me continue living like this? Zhou Guangjun said he was about to get rid of Zhang Biren, but Zhang Biren directly placed his hand on Zhou Guangjun's shoulder. Shu, take a deep breath and don't be afraid. Immediately afterwards, Zhou Guangjun's figure suddenly froze in place. His eyes changed from black to white, guiding his divine soul to be brought into his divine consciousness by Zhang Biren. The entire process lasted for less than a minute, and Zhou Guangjun slowly regained his sanity. However, his expression became even uglier than eating a fly. The terrifying apocalyptic scene deeply shook the heart of Zhou Guangjun, who wanted to make ends meet. Zhou Guangjun looked at Zhang Biren in horror and asked in confusion, just now. What happened to everything? Why is the entire city nauseous? Zhou Guangjun couldn't bear it and suddenly crouched on the side, vomiting violently. There is no way, there may be some sequelae from memory recall. Moreover, Zhou Guangjun's inner strength is not as strong. Faced with such a terrifying scene of the end of the world, what can he achieve as a small mortal? Soon, a ferocious middle-aged man came out of the Fuchuan roasted whole lamb barbecue. Hey! What are you doing? What are you doing? Zhou Guangjun. You little brat, why don't you still do it? Hurry up and recruit more customers for me. The business in the store is not good. It's so strange that you can't handle it. His grandmother, if you don't bring 2 more tables over, you won't even want today's salary. At this moment, Zhou Guangjun's mind was extremely dizzy. But he persisted, stumbling up from the ground. He said to the shouting man, yes. I'm sorry, Brother Quan. I just felt a slight headache, so I was not careful. Before Zhou Guangjun could finish speaking, he saw the man named Quan Gu continuing to shout. If you want to die, go away and die. Laozi's new store is opening. Where are you throwing up a mess? What do you mean? He'll lick me clean soon. Then go clean the ground. Finally, Zhang Biren became angry. He looked at the rampant Quan Gu and slightly raised his left hand. Suddenly, Quan Ji's face turned into a pig liver color, and his whole body slowly floated up. This scene is really too eerie. What exactly did Zhang Shiren do? Magic tricks. Specific functions. Zhou Guangjun dared not think much, but still pleaded for Brother Quan, brother. Don't do this. You can let him go. Zhang Biren said coldly, he bullied you so much, are you still begging for mercy on his behalf? A kind heart is a good thing. But if it's too kind, then it shouldn't be. Immediately, Zhang Shiren pinched his hand again at the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com. A clicking sound came from Quan Ji's throat. This Bai Ren has shown mercy. If he wants to break his neck in minutes, he can. However, at this moment, Zhou Guangjun begged for mercy again and said, his new store has opened, and his poor business has also caused him to be anxious and hold back a fire. Just curse a few words, you can't miss a piece of meat. I also have some shortcomings. You let him down. I'll come with you. Isn't that enough? Humph, it seems that we need to make some good changes in the future. Zhang Biren no longer talked nonsense to Zhou Guangjun, and suddenly shook hands with Quan Gu, smashing the glass and being thrown back directly into the barbecue restaurant. Several people in the barbecue restaurant were frightened by this scene and gathered around to check his condition. But no one dares to come out and cause trouble for Zhang Biren. In the apocalypse, Zhang Biren, this villain, has killed countless people. But now, it's better to avoid causing too much panic and chaos. Zhang Biren said to Zhou Guangjun, alright, let's go. I can honestly tell you that what you just saw was reality, and we don't have any more time. If you can't bear it in your heart, you can also not go with me. Continue to stay here, or end your remaining life on your own. It's up to you to choose whatever you want, and I, Zhang Boren, have never been able to force others to do anything difficult. As Zhang Boren spoke, he turned around and left, while Zhou Guangjun remained in the same place, feeling a little confused. He is just a social sideline, and suddenly someone comes out to ask you to come with him to save the world. Who can believe that? After experiencing a strong ideological struggle, Zhou Guangjun still made up his mind after a while. Okay. I'll come with you.